Tonight on Joy News Prime, more than 2 years after his tragic lynching shocked the nation, a pathologist on Tuesday gave a chilling account in court of the state of Army Major Maxwell Mahama's body at the time of death. The chiefs and people of the community where the soldier was lynched have meanwhile lamented the protracted nature of the case.
Papa. Sansa Brebia Obetia say, I told you for Baha, and Unti, my Brebia and your ha, your way of share. It is a case of a Baha Abaya Ibia. The should say, into the head.
Speaker of Parliament once again suspends sitting over absenteeism amongst MPs and vows yet again not to tolerate the practice.
I'll suspend sitting and meet with the leaders, because I believe we all agree that this is not good enough. And I'm glad there is no one rising in defense of what is manifestly facing us.
It turned out some MPs are signing attendance sheets on behalf of their absent colleagues.
It's just that we should even change the method of counting those who are present. Even though the rule says that you go and register at the mailroom, we are abusing that. Many people do, or in fact, I can speak to the fact that some people do not even show, but their names are marked.
Clients of fund managers whose licenses were recently revoked by the SEC continue to troop to designated branches of CBG to start validation processes leading to the payment of the locked-up funds.
The queue and the crowd here, I have to go back. And moreover, I couldn't start the crowd, so I have to go back. And then I came this afternoon, and then it's cool. So, but then it's not the best. It hasn't been the best.
We'll tell you what will be required of you if you have to visit any of the designated locations in business.
Ghana signs MOU with 2 manufacturers for purchase of 6 aircraft for the country's flag carrier. We'll assess the implication of this new move shortly in business.
And later on in the bulletin, the winner of a plus-size dance competition who could not make it onto a flight to Dubai as part of a prize package, apparently because of her size, has got social media talking. I'm Israel, and Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio at Kokomlimli here in Accra with digital address GA09925539. Stay tuned in. Now, a chilling account of the state of Army Major Maxwell Mahama's body by a pathologist left a deafening silence in the court trying the case on Tuesday. More than 2 years after his tragic lynching shocked the nation, specialist pathologist Dr. Lawrence Edusei was in court to describe how he found bullet pellets lodged in his jaw, left and right thigh bones, with more than half of his body burnt, leading him to conclude that the soldier died of unnatural causes. Dr. Edusei is a state 13th witness out of a total of 14 listed to testify in court. 14 persons, including the assemblyman for Dintro Boise at the time, William Baum, are standing trial for the death of the soldier in May 2017. Court correspondent Joseph Akable sat through court proceedings and has come through with this report.
Dr. Edusei introduced himself to the court as a specialist pathologist who has been practicing since 1999. He said he performed a thorough examination on the body of the late soldier. He revealed there were visible signs of violence on the body of, quote, a well-nourished male adult. There were burns involving the head, both upper and lower limbs, the abdomen, and about 54% of total body surface area burnt. He continued there were multiple lacerations on the skull, the left side of the lower limb, depressed fracture of the skull, fracture of the jawbone, chest bones, extensive bleeding under the skin of the head. Dr. Edusei said even before commencing the postmortem, he carried out an X-ray examination which revealed bullet pellets were lodged at the left side of the jaw, the lower end of the right thigh bone, and the lower part of the left leg. He also said there was an object lodged at the right side of the pelvic bone that had caused a fracture. While admitting it was difficult to determine what the object was, he concluded it was most likely to be from a shotgun. On what his internal analysis of the corpse revealed, Dr. Edusei said there was bleeding in the brain and extensive bleeding on the surface of the lungs. He said he also observed a penetrating injury in the lungs. Dr. Edusei concluded his testimony by saying the soldier's death was caused by multiple head injuries. He said, quote, "In my opinion, the cause of death is multiple head injuries. This is due to blunt objects like stone, wood, iron rods, and shotguns. These are unnatural causes of death," Dr. Edusei stated. Defense lawyer George Bernard Shaw was the first to cross-examine Dr. Edusei. He reminded the doctor he had earlier lamented during a trial at the district court of his inability to get access to the crime scene and ballistics experts. He asked whether this could not affect his findings. Dr. Edusei responded that the experts were not required to enable him reach his conclusions about the cause of death. A police investigator is expected to be the state's last witness once Dr. Edusei is discharged by the court.
We'll return later on to the lamentations of the chiefs and people of Denchiro Boase, where the soldier was lynched, who are saying that the case has dragged on for way too long and they would rather the case is dispatched with as quickly as possible. But moving on to one other story, a member of parliament for Kumbungu, Rashid Mubarak, has backed down from his earlier stance to drift from the rest of the minority in parliament and vote yes in the upcoming December 17 referendum. This was after threats by the parties to sanction all members who failed to fall in line. Mr. Mubarak had indicated he believed voting yes to allow political parties' involvement in local assembly elections was the way to go. He has, however, since released a statement explaining why he has had a change of mind. And it reads, upon a sober reflection and advice from very distinguished senior party members, especially the parliamentary leadership, I have come to the conclusion that it is improper to deviate from my party's official position for a no vote in the upcoming referendum on Article 55(3) of the Constitution. I recognize that my personal position must be subsumed under the broader interest of the party. I have therefore decided to uphold the party's position for a no vote on the matter. Well, the NDC has been meeting over the matter. Opposition NDC has been meeting over the matter. Let's go over to the party's headquarters where Kwesi Parker Wilson is on standby to give us an update. Hello, Kwesi. What can you tell us about the deliberations at the party headquarters?
Okay, so Ezra, my source in the meeting, and let me say that the meeting ended a while ago, just about 10-15 minutes ago. That was when the functional executive committee of the party ended the meeting. In fact, Mubarak was discharged somewhere 2 hours ago after he presented his case to members of the committee, and they asked him to go and write a detailed apology why the party shouldn't suspend him, or perhaps why the party shouldn't sanction him for going against the party's decision. And Israel, I have with me the Deputy General Secretary of the party, Peter Otukono, and he joins me live. I know the meeting just ended a while ago. What has been the decision on the conduct of Rashid Mubarak, sir?
First of all, I think it was a very unfortunate incident, and in light of that, we took steps to, as a matter of urgency, invite him to give him a hearing. You know, per our principles and philosophy, you do not give judgment without offering a hearing. So we needed to offer that hearing as a matter of importance. We had heard the news, we have heard the commentary. Perhaps it may happen that that may be his voice. So we needed to do that meeting.
And he admitted that.
Yes, he admitted that he made those statements, and he erred in the approach he took to his views. We are a democratic party, but when we take decisions, it represents the entire NDC. I mean, whether you dissent or not, you will need to fall in line. So we expected him to fall in line. Incidentally, before the meeting, he had seen what he has done. He has realized he had made some mistakes. So he had issued a statement, which we saw on social media. When he came, he admitted his fault, but we needed to still ask the strong questions, the questions that needed to be asked. And we actually gave him a query. And with all his apologies, we have requested that he conduct some other, activities, bring a formal letter of apology and explain why we shouldn't take any disciplinary action against him. Upon receipt of that response from him, as a party, we will take the final decision, and I'm sure we would communicate that officially.
I understand that some members, committee members, are advocating or want a suspension. Can you confirm that for me, sir?
Well, the party people are very angry about this. We will not mince words up on that one. The party people are very angry because where we are, discipline is everything, and solidarity is everything. If you do not understand the principles and the philosophies of the party, then obviously you have no business being in the party. So the party people are very angry, and understandably so. We have to take a decision, not because they are angry, but because there are rules and regulations in our party.
So he will be sanctioned.
And indiscipline must not go, unlooked at. So we are very much on course in this matter. And as he has apologized, it's a first step. Would wait to pick the official response from him, and the functioning executive committee will take the appropriate decision and bring finalization to the matter.
Thank you very much. And let me go to Israel. And Israel, that was the Deputy General Secretary of the party, Peter Boama Otu Kono, there for you. And
all right, thank you very much, Kwesi Parker Wilsing, and that's where we'll leave it. But we're staying with the subject because the 2016 presidential candidate of the Convention People's Party, Kwabena Greenstreet, says, judging from current happenings, a no vote at the December referendum is imminent. Addressing the media at a public lecture organized by the Institute of Democratic Governance, he stated the leadership of the party at a meeting agreed to support a yes vote, as he says, it makes it easier for the party to get representation at the local government level. On claims that the yes vote will promote polarization and monetization of Ghana's politics, he said the NDC and MPP are the political parties engaged in the practice.
The highest body of the CPP held a meeting. Throughout our former manifestos, we had always been for yes for the election of MMDCEs. However, as you know, the only difference on this occasion is that they are adding the fact that it should be partisan at the local level. In fact, just before even coming here, I spoke to the former MP of Kumbungu, who, as you know, is a CPP man. The seat was held by the CPP. And I asked him directly, Moses, you can best assess what would be best for the party in Kumbungu. And he made it very clear to me that a yes vote would be in the interest of the party. It would be far easier at the local level for us to get representation and people to participate if the elections took place on a partisan line. And he's at the local level. So I think we have to believe him, we have to trust him. And I think this is the case throughout the country.
So the CPP will support a yes vote?
I think the national leadership have made it clear. They held a meeting. It is for a yes vote. However, you can see that if the vote took place today, it would be no. And getting close to December 17th, it looks like it will still be a no. I don't know what the record is of people who come out to even vote at the district assembly elections. I think normally it's even 20%. Now 40% are required to come out and vote. Out of that 40%, 75% are supposed to say yes. I think it's a very difficult task, a very tall order. The likelihood is that no will prevail.
What's the CPP saying about some of the reasons that NDC has given that our politics is already polarized and we can't afford to take this to the district level?
Well, I think it is the MPP and the NDC who are specialists at monetization, and they have rather introduced that into our body politic over the last 26 or 27 years. That is why Ghanaians are tired of them.
Executive Director of the Institute of Democratic Governance, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, says a multi-partisan local government election will end the winner-takes-all phenomenon. He is calling for consensus between the NDC and the MPP on the matter.
We should put pressure for them to find, the common ground, and let's go through this process. Imagine 260 districts now made elective posts, okay, where you compete, different parties, individuals, and all. It is going to take the pressure we put on the presidency, which makes it do or die. Because you may not win the presidency, but you may win a number of districts, and you're an executive government and you sit with the president. I think we need to put pressure on them. A few should emerge. I mean, I would be happy to go after some of the people. We can do that, and I think that's the work we do. And we can talk to the politicians, but also encourage it. Please come together, agree to take us through. We want this opening. It's our time to make a decision to change the system. The one thing that you will lose if you endorse the no vote is that your opportunity to make decisions to reform the system is gone, because you use it like an election, and you are not going to get that opportunity in 4 years. As for election every 4 years, you can change, so you can correct your mistakes.
A visibly upset Speaker of Parliament was forced to suspend sitting for an hour on Tuesday over absenteeism. This was after Boku Central MP Mahama Yaga invoked Article 102 of the 1992 Constitution over the inadequate number of MPs needed to transact parliamentary business. It turned out, though a large number of MPs were supposed to have signed into the chamber, at least on paper, many of them were really not present. First Deputy Speaker George Sewusu decried the practice where MPs signed the attendance sheet and failed to attend upon the House.
The Speaker, our record shows clearly every day that we have a quorum. Every day. If you look through the records, we have a quorum. That suggests that either members come to the presence of Parliament but do not enter the chamber, or they were looking at, they may have been at a committee meeting. So I look at the other paper. How many committee meetings are advertised today? No meeting. I see 3 committee meetings. One is supposed to start at 11. It is not 11 yet. The others are supposed to start at 2 o'clock. It's not 2 o'clock yet. But how it happens that the record reflects that we have numbers, but the numbers do not reflect in the chamber, the Speaker. It's because probably we permit members to just go and record their presence in the mails room. I think that should change. Presence must be counted in the members in the chamber. The Speaker, if we were to adjourn now and go for the record, you find that there will be no justification for you adjourning the House, because the record will reflect that more than the number we require have marked as present. But where are they? Should Mr. Speaker use the record at the mails room to determine whether we have a quorum or not? So, Mr. Speaker, I suggest that we should even change the method of counting those who are present. Even though the rule says that you go and register at the mails room, we are abusing that. Many people do, or in fact, I can speak to the fact that some people do not even show, but their names are marked. I have seen people who have sought and been granted leave of to be absent, but they are marked as present, because somebody else is doing that on their behalf. Mr. Speaker, I think that program, we should change that system and make people, it is those who come in here who are marked as present.
Speaker of Parliament Professor Michael Quay, in suspending the House, vowed he will no longer tolerate absenteeism in the chamber.
Important matter on the parliamentary calendar before us, regarding which a constitutional function must also be performed by this honorable House. I don't think any of us will want this House to be associated with taking this imperative function lightly. I'll suspend sitting and meet with the leaders Because I believe we all agree that this is not good enough. And I'm glad there is no one rising in defense of what is manifestly facing us. We shall have a little meeting, and honorable members, if you will accommodate us, will come and sit back at the hour of 11:30. I thank you very much for your indulgence.
Right, joining us via Skype to deliberate a lot further on this particular matter is Dr. Rashid Rahman, Executive Director of the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Thank you very much for making time to speak with us, Dr. Rahman. Now, this isn't the first, second, or third time that the Speaker is having to issue this warning, but it appears that the members are failing to comply.
Indeed, Israel, I agree with you.
How do you... yes. How do you feel that we can, or the Speaker can deal with this issue once and for all? And if the Speaker can't, are there any other options available to citizens, for instance?
Well, you know, if you do a careful reading of the rules, I think MPs are playing on the fact that they have a very generous lifeline when it comes to absenteeism, that you have to be absent 15 times plus before any serious sanctions, such as maybe sending you away from Parliament and making you lose your seat, could be implemented. Now, I think over the years, particularly in the life of this seventh Parliament, we have the records would show that there are a number of MPs who have been absent 15 or more times without any permission. And I think the Right Honourable Speaker and the leadership of Parliament should stop talking. I think it is now time for them to make a scapegoat of one or two MPs. And then we'll see a complete turnaround in this attitude. Look, I heard the First Deputy Speaker. I am currently in Burkina Faso. Here in the Burkina Faso Parliament, every single day before Parliament starts sitting, there is a roll call. Every single member's name is mentioned, and you have to respond present or absent. And if you are absent, there has to be a reason why you are absent. You know, this fraud that is being perpetrated on Ghanaians, like, I mean, this is not my word. I mean, we heard it from the First Deputy Speaker. He says, members sign, they don't show up. How will you describe that? And these are supposed to be honorable members who should have the moral authority to call our government departments, government agencies to order, to exercise oversight and accountability. And if you yourself, you are seen to be perpetrating such an act, then you lose your moral authority. So for me, I think, I hope the meeting that the Right Honourable Speaker went into this afternoon, this morning with the leaders, would be the last meeting that we will see on such a matter. I think they need to crack the whip.
Dr. Rahman, yes, we're hoping that it will be the last such meeting that they're going to have, and possibly the last time we're having to talk about this. But this isn't the first time we've talked about this and had a conversation about this. How hopeful are you that we're not going to return to having a conversation about this again?
Yes, yeah, indeed, Israel. I'm not very optimistic that anything good is going to come out of this. I think our whole governance system needs a very serious overhaul. Look, I don't know whether you followed it recently. Did you see the Speaker of the British House call the Prime Minister to order and tell him this attitude is not acceptable in this House?
Yes.
I am yet to see that sometimes even ministers are called to show up in Parliament. They don't show up. We hear a lot of noise and nothing really happens. Now, I think our leaders...
You made reference to what the First Deputy Speaker, Joseph, who had to say on the floor, suggesting that in fact, some MPs appear to be signing on behalf of MPs who are absent. That actually borders on, if I'm not mistaken, some form of criminality, doesn't it?
Yes, it's fraud. It's fraud. Because you are supposed to show up and work. You don't show up and then somebody goes to sign for you. I don't think that if you are supposed to show up at Joy FM and work, and then you don't show up, somebody signs for you, but you go and take salary at the end of the month, I am sure the owner of Joy FM is going to come after you. And I think, I mean, if we are not seeing anything from our leaders, I mean, regrettably, we don't have a lot of options except perhaps waiting for the next 4 years, I mean, the next round of elections to change whoever is leading us in Parliament. Otherwise, I mean, this is quite disappointing. Particularly, it cannot be tolerated at a time when they have to show up and do the one most important duty in the life of every Parliament, that is that of debating the national budget.
All right.
It's sad.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Rashid. Dr. Rashid Rahman is with the Parliamentary Centre. You're watching, joining us, Prime. We're taking a break, but still ahead in the bulletin. Clients of fund managers whose licenses were recently revoked by the Securities and Exchange Commission continue to troop to designated branches of CBG to start validation processes leading to the payment of their locked-up funds.
The queue and the crowd here, I have to go back. And moreover, I couldn't start the crowd, so I have to go back. And then I came this afternoon, and then it's cool. So, but then it's not the best. It hasn't been the best.
Health Minister Kwabena Greenstreet has announced the deployment of 600 medical technicians and drivers, many of whom will be assigned to manage Ghana's newly procured ambulances. The minority in Parliament has demanded the release of the dozens of ambulances said to have been parked at the forecourt of the State House. A recent survey showed there are only 55 ambulances serving the entire country of 29 million people. First, Mr. Jimameno explains why the release of the vehicles may take a few more weeks.
As I speak, from my check with the ministry that is procuring the vehicles for the ambulance service, the suppliers, about 5 of them, to bring in 307. Right? They have not handed over the vehicles to the ministry yet, meaning pre-delivery inspection and things haven't been done. The minister, on my last check, was on Monday yesterday, is away in Turkey, still looking at some of them, trying to look at how we will maintain them with spare costs and all that. This has been done. So when the vendor, the supplier, hasn't actually called you that these are your vehicles, take your keys, and then we will send a technical inspector to also look at them. How do we distribute for these vehicles to use? But I'm glad that at long last, Ghanaians have seen that if anything at all, this government is delivering on our promises. So we are working to put the ambulances on road. We recruited close to about 600 medical technicians for training. We have to train them for a year because this is a technical job with some drivers. I'm passing them out on Friday. So we are getting ready to push in the vehicles. But when the supplier hasn't handed over the vehicles to you, how do you distribute them?
Mr. Yabuabia, someone who speaks for your party and is member of Parliament for Denton, said last week in Parliament that there's a tracker that is needed so these vehicles can be located and they can only be installed in January 2020, and that's what is delaying this.
I haven't looked at the scope of works on the contract. If the supplier was supposed to put in trackers, and he hasn't put the trackers, that is what I'm talking about. The supplier hasn't delivered. How can you distribute? So that might be one of the technical things that should be done before we take the vehicles away from the supplier.
We're turning to our top story, where more than 2 years after his tragic lynching shocked the nation, a pathologist on Tuesday gave a chilling account in court of the State of Army Major Maxwell Mahama's body at the time of his death. Now, the chiefs and people of New Boise are calling on state prosecutors to fast-track the trial of persons accused of killing the Major Maxwell Mahama. For them, ending the case will bring peace to the town and facilitate development, and as many reports.
It's a normal day here at New Boise. The town looks calm and the people are going about their everyday activities. But the linguist here says they have no peace since the tragic killing of Major Maxwell Mahama.
You see any the
We have been living in fear since the incident happened. Almost every now and then, you hear rumors that military men are coming over to invade the town. We are pleading. Many have sinned, but it wasn't deliberate. It's because of the armed robbery cases we had witnessed in this town. They assumed it was
Wife of the Assemblyman William Ba, standing trial with 13 other persons, is pleading for clemency.
My husband was not there when the incident happened. I think he's involved in this because of leadership.
We are
pleading with government. I've missed him. I've really missed him.
That's right.
Meanwhile, she said life has not been easy since her husband was arrested. Raising their 3 children alone has taken a toll on her.
I told the children their father has traveled. They keep asking me, but I tell them he'll return shortly. Their friends even ask them in school.
The people of New Obuasi are calling for a speedy trial.
Recently, when they celebrated his 2nd anniversary, we heard the soldiers were coming here. We were really terrified. So we plead with the government to fast-track the case.
The final moment of Major Maxwell Mahama was right here at the spot. Here, he pleaded with the mob to spare his life. He begged, but no one would listen. The late Major died in a very tragic way. The chief and people of this town say the incident remains a scar on their conscience, and they're working to ensure that never again will anyone suffer at the hands of a mob. For Joy News, I'm Ernest Minu, New Obuasi.
Day 2 of the validation process leading to the payment of deposits of clients of fund managers whose licenses were recently revoked by the Securities and Exchange Commission appears to have been a lot smoother than what pertained on Monday, at least for the designated CBG branch Joy News visited here at Kukumlele in Accra. The situation, however, appears to be a lot more frustrating for clients in other parts of the country, as narrated by one of them who said he came from Cape Coast because they were not being attended to. Latif Idris reports many of the clients, though, are banking their hopes on receiving some payment soon so they can at least have a meaningful Christmas.
Clients who visit the designated area to kickstart processes to retrieve their locked-up investments would have to complete this form, a 3-part form that requires the client to provide transaction-supporting documents supporting the claim. Investors must come with copies of investment certificate, investment contract document, account statement, and other documents like photocopy of investors' nationally recognized photo ID, notarized power of attorney, and letters of administration for persons submitting claims of deceased investors.
In fact, the process was very, very difficult
because I've passed through many difficulties. I went to airport and I was told to come here. I came here and
you went to the headquarters?
Yes, please, the headquarters. And I was told to come here. I came here and I was told that the form had finished. So I have to try and do some photocopy so that I can do something, fill my name and my...
And when I came here yesterday, but the queue and the crowd here, I have to go back. And moreover I couldn't start the crowd, so I have to go back. And then I came this afternoon, and then it's cool. So, but then it's not the best. It hasn't been the best. Yes.
What were you expecting that you didn't get?
You see, the expectation was that I had wanted to, get to my fund managers, and then just, go ahead, fill the forms there, and then, like the way the global access people, yes. But then it has not been, But then at the end of the day, once I'm able to fill the forms, they've received it, and then I'm just going to wait for what would happen next.
I blame the Bank of Ghana because they regulate, or the Securities and Exchange Commission for that matter, because they regulate some of these institutions. And so we're expecting them to act swiftly when they realize that, they were not performing, because every month or every year or quarter, they were conducting due diligence and checking. So if they were not going on well, they should have been swift in taking action. So for them to have sat down and allowed this thing to, blow out to this level is dumbfounded. It's a bit amazing.
With the overwhelming number of clients trooping to the designated areas and with virtually little attention being paid to them, some customers have been forced to move from their regions to Accra to get the validation done.
Yeah, we started yesterday at Cape Coast, but there is no anybody at the Cape Coast branch yesterday.
So you mentioned that there were about 800 people who gathered there.
Yeah, we have about 800 people gathered at Cape Coast.
Campus of the University of Cape Coast?
Yes.
And then what happened?
Nobody was there.
To attend to you?
Yes. Nobody was there to attend to.
And this morning too, you went there in your numbers?
Yeah, this morning too, we went there with our numbers. About 500 people, we write our name and there's nobody attend to us. It's only the bank manager came out and told us that maybe they will start tomorrow, so we can left. And
so then you decided to come to Accra?
Yeah. I need my money, so I decided to come to Accra to fill my form.
There have been claims that the Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited is directly involved in the validation process. But sources tell Joy News CBG's only role in the validation process is to provide their premises for the exercise, but are not directly involved in the process itself. But checks by Joy News shows that the Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited would play a central role, as it will be the one to pay validated investors at the end of the process.
There is good news for residents of the La Dade-Kotopong constituency in Accra, because the MP for the area, Vincent Soa Odote, wants to provide each house without a toilet one. This forms part of the MP's target to rid the area of shared public toilets by December 2020. The Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, in collaboration with the La Dade-Kotopong Municipal Assembly, organized an inspection tour as part of activities to commemorate World Toilet Day. Join News' PSA Nane Asafo was there and has filed this report right to you.
I was among those who used to take it to the beach.
Let's carry it.
Yes, we have to carry it. We hold it like this. One is here, one is here.
A relieved Amuzu Emmanuel narrating how his family and others struggled each day when they have to answer the call of nature.
The time we were young here, we have 2 toilets here. The manual one, the one which when it's full, then they take it to that. So we use it for some time. It happens that we have so many in the house, so the people too, they can't take it.
This was before the introduction of the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Sanitation and Water Project, known as GAMA. In partnership with the World Bank, the Ministry for Sanitation and Water Resources, the Municipal Assembly is helping homes in La Dade-Kotopong to get decent toilet facilities. Residents will have to pay half the cost of the facility. In addition to local government efforts, Member of Parliament for the area, Vincent Soa Odote, has begun a project to provide toilets for 500 homes in his constituency.
We are doing something which is quite unique. I am providing every household without a toilet with a toilet. Every household. And to make public toilets a thing of the past. At the moment, we are on course to build over 500 toilets that we are working on now.
As part of World Toilet Day celebrations, the Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Patrick Yabuama, was in the community to inspect some of the newly constructed places of convenience. Residents expressed gratitude and further promised to desist from open defecation.
Okay, like before, it's a little bit hard, all because at times when you wake up in the night, going to the toilet, from here to the toilet, it's a little bit far, so, and there's no street light, so you find it difficult before getting to the toilet. So, as we have this toilet here, we are grateful and excited.
Previously, we used to have some toilets that were more or less like a death trap to the students. Looking at the number of students, the population of the students, they still realize we need more toilets. And that is why the Gamma project was given to us. The difference is great because you don't have to queue. You can just walk in conveniently and then come back to class so that it doesn't affect lessons.
The Deputy Minister said the media should help change attitudes about sanitation in the country.
Today is World Toilet Day. We must all ensure, those who are going to rent homes, they must ensure that landlords have toilets in their homes. If you marry somebody and you take the person to your new house or your rented apartment and there's no toilet facility, how do you live in dignity? We say water is life, but sanitation is dignity. So I'm entreating the media to also assist us in this campaign.
The theme for the commemoration of the 2019 World Toilet Day was Leaving No One Behind. All are encouraged to contact the nearest district assemblies for affordable places of convenience.
Over 20 landlords whose households have no toilets at Fantini town suburb of Kumasi have been given 6 months to provide the facilities or face legal action. Kumasi Mayor Osei Isibe Entry gave the order as he joined environmental officers on a house-to-house sanitation inspection to mark World Toilet Day. It is against Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly bylaws to build or rent a house without providing toilets, and the mayor wants that law enforced to protect public health. Law firm's Rashid Rahman joined the exercise in our report.
The KMA Environmental Health Office estimates that 40% of residents in Kumasi have no access to household toilets. Out of this, 20% share public toilets, whilst the remaining 20% defecate in the open. The KMA is enforcing a compulsory provision of toilets in households across the city. Kumasi Mayor Osei Isibe Entry led a team of environmental health officers in a house-to-house inspection of household toilets at Fantini Town, a suburb of Kumasi. The move marks the beginning of a citywide issuance of a 6-month deadline for landlords to construct household toilets or face legal action.
Now 6 months. This is 6 months. But Modiana Muminia toilet to Fiasi. A cratty Brabeca Hobby. And by notice near the mouse say Mabusuminsia. SS Busuminsia and Wina toilet to Fia. Well, today is World Toilet Day, and as part of the celebration, I have with me my directors. We have Director for the Environment who is here, and we have Director for Waste Management, and the Deputy is also here. So we decided that today all the workers under the 2 directorates are all coming out, and we selected this area as a focal point. So all what we are doing is that we are moving from house to house to inspect and see whether they have toilet there. If they don't have the toilet, then immediately we give them the notice by giving them the order that within 6 months period, if they are not able to come out with the toilet, we will take legal action against them. But we know that all fingers are not the same. So we've also tried our best in getting a bank that is willing and prepared to support the needy, and that is Napiaba. So they have a facility which they don't even need to have a collateral, but just as the owner of the house, if the owner expresses interest, went into the bank, filled the forms, then they come and inspect the house, they will give the money for the provision of the toilet. And once the toilet is provided, then they will be getting the payment as agreed.
Authorities believe enforcement of the bylaws on the compulsory provision of household toilets will prevent open defecation and improve the health of the people in achieving the sustainable development goals. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
So that's it for the bulletin. I'm Israel Lai. You have PM Express is up next with Evan Smith.